What happens when you give a media personality and a sex therapist a podcast? You get Spill the Tea, a bold, unfiltered space where no topic is off limits, from sex and relationships to the messy, hilarious, and heartbreaking realities of life. Will Nash and Maria Orrego serve up real talk with expert insight, hot takes, and a whole lot of tea.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. So, Will, do you have like a pretty strong password on your phone?
I have a password on my phone. I don't know if it's a pretty strong password. It is a password that I have used. Well, it's a version of a password that I have used for years on many, many things, just with a couple extra, I guess digits in there. But really, it's face recognition, right? I have an iPhone. It's 2025. It's unless for whatever reason, I don't know, I got a hat on or something weird where it's like I'm not able to open it up. It's facial recognition for me.
That's so true. And people also have the thumbprint, right? Or like the fingerprint thing. Yeah. The
We
facial.
always feel like such a criminal, right? It's like, do I really? It's like thumbprints is so weird to me. I feel like it's like you're going to, you're going behind bars.
It's so true. Yes, that one feels weird. I actually had a friend who tried to do the face rec with a picture of her partner. She just wanted to see if it would work, and it didn't work. And I don't know if it will now. Like, I don't know if it's gotten more sophisticated, but I do think that like they have tried to like not let you do that so that you can't open somebody's like phone randomly, right? But a lot of people do, right? A lot of people do open their partner's phones, or they have access to their friends' phones or things like that. Like, would you let your friends, family go through your phone?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not happening. That's my personal business, right? I mean, if I'm showing you something on my phone, a photo, a text message, whatever I want to show you, that is for me to show you. And it is not for me to say, okay, you know what? Here's the phone. Here you go. Go and have fun. It feels like, for me, it feels like an invasion of privacy. And easy to say when you're single and not in a relationship or not dating somebody. But I just still think, and I don't know if this is a hot take, I do think that even if you are in a long-term relationship, you should be able to trust your partner enough so that you don't have access to their phones.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, yes. I mean, like in a perfect ideal world, I think that everyone would love to be able to have that hot take, like you called it. I think a lot of people struggle though with the idea of, if I don't have access to your phone, then what are you hiding? Right? Or like, you should be able to be an open book, and you should be able to like show all your like all your vulnerabilities and all the stuff that you're like hiding or have on your phone. But then my argument sometimes is like, yeah, but sometimes we take like pictures, like personal pictures, like selfies or whatever it is, right? That you are kind of like, those are cringy and I don't want anyone to watch, like see, right? And you don't delete them, they're just there. And then you know that if someone's swiping through your phone, it's like, oh my God, please don't look at that selfie that I thought looked nice, but definitely a delete later kind of idea, right? Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with it because I do think that couples should have transparency when it comes to like what they're doing, but there should still be a level of trust that you can trust your partner that they will have like the respect to not do something shady on you or not have things on their phone that's shady. I think it's always needs to be like an open communication. Like if a partner says like, "Hey, I'm really struggling. I would love to know what you're doing on your phone right now." I think then like being able to give that to your partner and be transparent about it, I think that's really important. But going through a phone, like if your partner's in the shower and the phone happens to be on the nightstand, I would definitely recommend not doing that. I think that that's an invasion of privacy, and I think that breaks trust 100%.
I really think that it is an invasion of privacy. And I know a lot of people watching or listening right now will not agree with me. And they will probably say that no, like if I'm in a relationship with somebody, I should be able to, as their long term partner, look at anything on their phone. And that should be okay. But think about it like this, right? If you're in a long term relationship with someone, are you going to have conversations or communications with people outside of your relationship. And I'm not even talking like spicy or anything like this, but just like things that you don't want them to, you don't feel like they need to know. Like, for example, like what if you were opening up, what if you were, writing notes about, going into a therapy session, right? It's like that is your sort of space where you're going to keep that information. And I know a lot of people who go to therapy, but they don't discuss their therapy sessions with their partners.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. I think that's true. Like you do have some private information on there, or even just things you discuss with your like with your closest friends, right? It's not always conversations that you're going to have with your partner. I think what people would argue is though, would you not share that with your partner? Like if they asked, would it be a secret? I think that's where like we get into that weird like secret place where it's like, is it private or is it a secret? And I think it needs to be a conversation of both partners being on the same page. But I agree. Like I think it's like the funny memes that go around of like if
Yeah.
anybody were to ask for my phone and read like what my best friend and I talk about, I'd have to throw my phone out the door, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you talk about things that you're like, oh my gosh, I don't think that that's like appropriate or no one should know that or it's completely unhinged and nobody should know what I just said. So I don't know. There's a fine line. Do you think you
Yeah.
should share passwords?
I don't. I don't think you should. I don't think that you should share passwords. I don't know. Maybe this is why, I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm single. But I think that again, it's an invasion of privacy, and I think that you should be able to be in a relationship where
Yeah.
you trust one another enough that you're able to live your life
Mhm.
with that person. And there's going to be times when you're at work or you're out at an event or whatever it is that you do in your life and you're not with your partner, and then they should be able to trust you. Not one-sided. I'm not saying let's just make it clear too. I'm not saying no, you ain't getting my passwords, but I want all of yours. I'm not pulling that. There's not a double standard here. I'm not pulling that. I'm
Okay.
saying it has to work. I am not pulling that. Let's make that quite clear. Repeating. Um, but I think like that has to be mutual trust and respect in that way, where it's like you're not expecting one set of rules for you and another set of rules for other people.
Oh, yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I have multiple friends, some who are in these relationships still and some who are not, where they have told me these stories about, what, I know, Will, this is bad. I did it. They were in the shower or they were out with someone and they forgot their phone. And I looked inside it. And, sometimes they found stuff. Other times they haven't found anything at all. Right. So I think that sometimes you really have to, a lot of this goes back to self-awareness, right? Is this your own insecurities and your own lack of confidence in your relationship with your partner, or are there some red flags here where things are definitely going off? Now, I'm not saying that there are some alarms or red flags that are going off that makes you want to check your partner's phone or want to gain that access to their phone, that you should not be able to find a way to bring that up in a conversation. I absolutely think that you should, but I don't think that, like, why are you in this relationship with someone who you don't trust?
Oh my gosh, that's a huge question. You're so right. Yeah, if you don't trust your partner enough to not have to go through their phone every so often. I've had clients, unfortunately, that have like disclosed to me that they go through the phone like quite regularly. And again, that, like you said, it's about your own insecurities, your own trust issues, things that may have happened in past relationships. And it sometimes has nothing to do with the relationship you're in, which is really sad, right? It's sad that you would like push away your partner in that way and like harm the relationship because of all the stuff that you're still dealing with. And I mean, everybody goes through that. But I like what you said though about this idea of like trusting your partner enough that if your spidey senses kind of go off, then you can at least have a conversation about that. Cause sometimes we have that, right? Sometimes we do have that like, huh, that's weird. Like there's a bit of like odd behavior, something's changed, or like they're shaving differently or whatever it is, right? And then you're like, oh, that's interesting. And then you do have to have that conversation to open it up. And hopefully it's an honest and transparent conversation. But that can also, like, oh, it can be so hurtful when you do find something on someone else's phone.
I'm not saying that if you happen to come across a hotel receipt for a hotel that you were not at, that you pretend that that didn't happen. You know what? If something like that shows up in your car and you're like, well, I know I didn't stay at a hotel. And I know my kids didn't stay at a hotel. But my husband or my partner's been gone for a while. Like, what's going on here? You will have to find a way, if you
Yeah.
care about your relationship and you care about yourself, to have that conversation with him.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of people have something like that happen, or they have clues, or again, red flags as to why they think their partner might be unfaithful, their partner might be cheating, whether that's cheating online or cheating in person, however that looks. I think that as much as it might not go the way you want it to go, you should have that, again, communication with them before you dig into their phone. So no, I don't want you to have access to my phone. I don't want you to have my password.
Okay.
And you know what? You know what I'm also not giving you? I'm not giving you my location.
Yes, that is okay. Let's talk about that one because that is, I find that the most like interesting thing in relationships. And maybe I'm old and maybe I just don't understand phones enough.
You're
But what
25.
I'm 25, of course. Today I'm Why are we sharing location? I do understand. I will say what I do love is the Uber one where you can share
Right.
location with someone like
That's
that
different.
for safety. I'm
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
different.
I love that. That one, I'm like, yes, let's do that. The idea though of like having your location shared and you having your location or the location of your partner at all times, I feel like that just messes with your head. Like
I mean,
I
yeah.
would be like obsessed. Would you not be obsessed with looking like where did they go? Are they actually at the office? Are they at a coffee shop? Why are they at the coffee shop? Like it would cause so much
Yeah.
havoc.
I don't like that because no, here's the thing. If you're on a dating app or you are on, if you're on Grinder, the location's important, right? You don't want to be traveling too far to have some fun. But if you are in a relationship with someone, and I'm blaming, I don't know if this will like get our, reels blocked or no one's going to see it, but Instagram, they've just implemented this recently too. I know Snapchat has location, and it's like,
What?
I don't really like to share my location. Like, it's not that I'm frolicking around the city at all times and, doing all these crazy things, but it's just like, I just don't know why that locate. First of all, like, for me personally, because I do have people on social media who I don't know, I really, really don't want them to have my location.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you for following. But I don't want you to know that I'm at home. I don't want you to know that I'm at the grocery store. I don't want you to know, that I'm in Toronto for the weekend. Like, it feels, again, I think this boils down to, it feels like an invasion of privacy. If I want you to know where I am, you're going to know.
Yes, that's so true. Oh, okay, but I have a question though. Why are these apps doing it? Like why is Instagram and Snapchat like why? What's the purpose behind it? Like I know that they like advertise it as like, oh
Yeah.
no, if your like friends are nearby so you can like stop by. When was the
Right.
last time we stopped by or like ran into a friend that way? Like we don't do that anymore. It's not the 90s. What are we trying to like no one knocks
You,
on your
you,
door.
you can see that I'm like actually pulling up my phone as you're
Yes.
talking here. I'm not trying to be
No, no,
rude.
I want to know. What does it say?
So at least this is what AI is telling me, is the reasons that people share the location is for a variety of reasons, such as safety. I'll get to that one in a second. Convenience, digital intimacy, aka, like, is that Grinder? Is that what we're talking about here, or is that something else?
Sure, I want to. Yeah, let's go with that. Okay, what else?
Yeah, because that sounds like a podcast episode.
Hmm.
And fun. Sharing can provide peace of mind for both the sharer and the person receiving the location. It can also facilitate planning and coordination. Listen, Maria, we can go out for dinner on Saturday night. I don't need to know what the 48 hours where you were for 2 days before we went out for dinner. You know what I mean? Like,
I
I
love.
don't.
I'm absolutely loving how angry this gets you of the fact that like people do this. I agree with you. I don't think I need to know your location in order to plan dinner with you. Like I feel like I could like you can drop a pin. Like if we're gonna be at a
Mhm.
beach or something and it's like, where the heck are you?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
drop a pin. That is one thing that I can understand for coordination.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. I understand the safety aspect. Like if I'm traveling somewhere and I need like you want your partner or your friend to know that you're safe. So like I had a friend who randomly signed up for a like mountain hike trek thing with random
Yeah.
strangers. And I was like, you need to share your location with me because I want to make sure that you're safe. But other than that, like I would never ask her to do that. But that was like a safety issue. But I would never want to follow or know everything about where my partner is and or him knowing what I'm doing.
Well, that's it. Okay, that let me just kind of rectify what I've said here. When I say I'm upset about the location thing. When it comes to safety, I get it. I have a girlfriend who, if we're meeting up somewhere like in the city to go for dinner, go for a drink, and she's, quite a bit younger and she's traveling on her own, she's taking an Uber, she's always going to drop that location. And then I'll share mine back just so we know, okay, we're meeting up at this restaurant. You're 2 minutes away. I'm 10 minutes away. That I'm fine with. I have, I don't know if you do this with your kid, but like my sister has locations on her young kids. Like they're old enough that they're like in high school and stuff like that. But that's just, or I think one of them gives her a hard time about turning it on or something like that. But I'm talking about the issue that I take with it is when, people feel like they should have your password, your location, know where you are at all times. Again, I don't know. That's the safety issue. I get that. Or if let's be real, right? If you are going on a date with someone, I mean, male, female, whatever, and you're meeting someone for the first time and you want to tell one of your friends where you're going to be,
Yeah.
that again, that is something that I would sound like an idiot if I said that was something that I took issue with,
No,
right?
that I think is a must. I think like
Yeah.
for safety reasons, I think 100% if you're about to go and meet someone from like an app or something, you definitely share your location with someone, right? Because I do think that is important. I will say I've had many, many, many conversations
Yeah.
in my office of people sharing locations, and then that's what bites them in the ass in the relationship where, and
Okay.
I think what's unfortunate is sometimes technology also just glitches,
Yeah.
right? So I think that there's also that like moment where I've had so many sessions where people are like, they told me they were at work, but they were at the coffee shop. I'm like, the coffee shop is in the same building, right? Like,
That's actually a thing?
yeah, like they've
Oh my
argued
god.
like numerous times. It's like he
Yeah.
told me he was in his office, or she told me that she was here. And it's like, yeah, but like if we look up, like I've actually had to do like Google searches with clients of like trying to explain to them if the coffee shop is in the same building, can we really say that they were not there or they were here or whatever it is? But yeah, unfortunately, people get stuck on it. And that's what I mean. Like if you give more, um, what is it? Like more
Toddler.
opportunity, yeah, like more
Yeah.
opportunity to have fights, then of course you're going to have fights, right? Like it's like looking at your person's like Instagram. It's like, oh, why did you like that picture? Most people just like everything, right? It's
Yeah.
not, they're not attracted, they're not trying to like sleep with them, they're
Yeah.
just liking stuff. I think when we give more opportunity for those conversations, we just end up in like awful fights for no reason.
I couldn't imagine being in a relationship with someone who, is taking issue with like if you're grabbing a coffee in the same building that you're working in. That just seems so petty. Like that just seems like you have zero trust in your partner. And why are you even with that person if they've walked across the street to grab a cup of coffee and you feel like you need to know that?
I think
Like,
that, yeah, I think that all like again it goes back to like past history, right? You like there's relationships that have had those issues, right? Someone like says, "Hey, I'm at the office." They're actually at the coffee shop. They start hitting on somebody. They end up like on a date, whatever it is, right? Like you don't
yeah,
know. But like there are relationships that do have those issues, so I can understand why there's that like perceived need
right.
to do this.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
But I think that the problem is that like when we do those things, we're dealing with the wrong issues instead of
So
actually
isn't
getting
it
to it.
okay? Say you are that person who in a previous relationship um had that exact thing happen, right? Where it was like, I'm at the office, but I'm just grabbing a coffee. But then at that coffee shop, you saw a hot barista, you went and slept with him, and then that ended the current relationship that you were in, right? But for the other person, goes into that new relationship, isn't it kind of not up to the individual to do that work? At least start to work on that so that if they're with a new person, that they're not assuming they have all the same flaws and traits of their ex.
So, well, you're starting to speak like a therapist, and I absolutely love you right now because you are speaking like absolute gold. Unfortunately, and you know this, I mean, I'm sure you know it from friends, family, like life, coworkers, you have to be exceptionally brave and courageous to do the fucking work. Like, I know that like that sounds
Yeah.
like harsh, but you have to put the work in to do the work, and it is painful and it is hard and it can be expensive and it can draw you away from things. And I think the one thing that I think I've learned in my career and even in my personal life is that facing the pain is so debilitating and so hard that people won't do it.
Mhm.
They'll choose the easy way out of like, no, I'm fine, I'm fixed. I can go into another relationship. I can like say that that was my past and not deal with
Mhm.
my shit, right? And
Yeah,
then just pretend
yeah.
everything's okay. And we do that, right? We do that in all of our relationships. We or even like jobs. We're just like, oh, that one was too hard. Bye. And then you kind of like move on to the next one, right? We are not, I don't think we're fully programmed to always do that work. And I think that's why people end up in the same cycle over and over again because they're not
No.
stopping
Yeah.
it, right?
And I know the way I said it, it might have made it sound like it was like, oh, okay, just snap your fingers, wave a magic wand, and that's you fix it. That's your problem, right? But I also think not even just the therapy aspect of it or the counseling aspect of it, but I think that there's a lot of people out there, hopefully not you, listening to the podcast, but who are not self-aware. And I think that when you're not self-aware, like personally, I don't know. You can ask my family, you can ask my friends, but I feel like as I get older, I feel like I become more self aware, which is, I think, the way it's supposed to be, I think.
Mhm.
Right? But it's like I know a lot of people, including people in my own life, who are not self aware at all, or who are not as self aware as they should be. And then that kind of ends up, working to your detriment at the end of the day, right? And it's not only going to hurt those relationships that you get into next, it's also going to affect the relationships around you. Like, because at what point it's like if you're sharing your location or you're giving your password to your partner, like, at what point are you just giving it to your family members or giving it to your friends? Like, are you posting it on Instagram to your 1,000 followers, letting everyone know where you are at all times, right? Like, and then you wonder why like this creepy stuff happens at times, right? Well, they know where you are. It's like the whole concept of like sometimes when people are on vacation, they don't necessarily like to like, say that they're on vacation because you know what? Great time to rob your house.
Mhm. I think we all got that from Home Alone.
Yeah, I didn't even think, it's funny, I didn't even think about that, but you're right. That was what, like 30 years ago or 25 years
Oh
ago?
my God, so long ago. But yeah, like Home Alone, that was
Mhm.
the idea, right? Like as soon as they
Yeah,
left, the people went and robbed the house because they knew they were going to be on vacation. They canvassed it. And yeah, now with like technology and the fact that we're online all the time, many people know exactly what we're doing and how we're doing and where we are. I mean, dating apps is like the worst for that, right? Like how many people are terrified of dating apps because of that? Like, do you share your location? Do you tell people where you actually live? Do you give them your actual name? Like,
I
it's so
know.
much stuff that it just becomes, yeah, terrifying. Okay, let's get
Is
to the
there
question today, though. Sorry, no, go ahead.
Yeah, the last thing I wanted to say is because kind of talking about, different perspectives on this topic, is there ever a time, or do you feel there is a certain time, because I'm saying like, no, you're not getting my password, my location, you're not getting my login, you're not getting access to my phone in that way. Is there ever a time when you feel it is important to give your partner access to these things?
Um, I think in this case, like, I think you and I, like, in a way disagree. Like,
Mhm.
I think it's relationship dependent. I think if you're comfortable giving your partner your password and you're comfortable talking about what's on your phone and stuff, I think that's totally fine. Like I don't think it's an either or. I can understand
Mhm.
the invasion of privacy, but I can also understand why people do it and they're like, yeah, for sure, go through my phone. I don't know, like me personally, it's like, yes, my my partner knows my password or whatever, right? the most embarrassing thing for me would be like the random selfies that are on there. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like one of those things like that. Would I want him going through my phone for that reason? No, of course not, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, is there anything actually to hide? No. So I think everyone just has a different take on what they feel is comfortable. But I
I
do
just
think
say,
like
yeah,
always it has to be a conversation.
it does have to be a conversation. And you know what? If I'm not here tomorrow, just throw my phone into the fire.
I want to go
You
through it. Now I want to
throw
go through it.
throw it in the fire. That's what you'll do. Like after I'm gone, you're like, okay, here's the real spill the tea, and there you go.
That'll be like that episode would go viral. We're going through Will's phone today. That would
Oh my
be
gosh.
hilarious.
I don't know.
Gosh.
I don't know if there's that many. Okay, I won't say surprise. Like nothing would be shocking. I don't think if you really know me, I don't think anything would be shocking. And we'll leave you with that. And then right now let's get back into the spill the tea question. Of course, you can always submit your questions. DM us at the spill the tea pod on Instagram.
Okay, here's the question for today. Dear Will
Yeah.
and Maria, my girlfriend asked me to share my location with her after only a few weeks of dating. She says it's about safety and building trust, especially as a queer woman, but I feel uncomfortable, like I'm being tracked. Am I overreacting or is this a boundary I should keep?
I think that you're just what 2-3 weeks into this relationship,
It says a few
and
weeks.
a few weeks into this relationship, and your partner wants to, I'm going to assume here, always have the location turned on. This isn't a isolated incident where you're going out and meeting up somewhere.
Yeah.
She always wants to have your location turned on. I say no. I do think that's a red flag.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused though, and maybe like you can speak to this. Why is it especially as a queer woman for safety and trust? Why does that have to do with it? What do you think? Like, what do you think
The,
that's telling us?
I wonder, well, there's two perspectives. Number one, where does this woman live? Like, is she in a small town where she feels like she is in danger? Has she experienced any form of like bullying or cyberbullying or, people saying things to her in the streets? Because, like, as much as we don't want to think it happens, it can and does happen. Or, maybe not as a positive way to think, is it that this person just being manipulative and controlling, and is this an early on indication on what you're I don't want you to be over dramatic, but it's like, is this an early red flag that, oh wow, like we've been dating for 3 weeks and like shit, you want to know where I am at all times of the day? Again, I get it. You're going out for dinner. Maybe you're both taking Ubers that night.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like I'm not objecting to that at all. But it's like you leaving the location on 24/7 as we've been dating for 15 minutes. Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, I find it a bit odd. Like a few weeks in sounds a little bit strange. Also, I don't think it's something that would actually build trust. I think from like
No.
I think from a professional perspective, I'd actually say again, it's those opportunities to start fights, right? If I have more information, then I have more things to grab onto of like, why were you here? You didn't tell me you were going to go visit X, Y, and Z. What's this address? Who's this person? I think it just like, it doesn't build trust. Because if I'm going to tell you, hey, today I went to work, I grabbed a coffee at Starbucks, and then I went to see my friend, that
Yeah.
should be sufficient, right? Like that should be sufficient information. You don't need to know every single stop. Like, what if I stopped for gas? Then it's like, well, why were you here? And it's like, oh my gosh, I stopped for gas. But people have those conversations.
I know.
And that's what starts this like cycle of insecurity and lies, and then having to like make up stories just to keep your partner happy. I would say in this case, keep your boundary, but then also see how that person reacts to your boundary. Because if they react negatively and this is like a must for them, then that's also telling you where this relationship is going to go in the future. So have that in mind.
I think that it's too soon. It's too soon for that. And I think that, especially if they want this on 24/7, like that's why I'm reading it here. And I think that it could potentially be a sign that this is what's to come. And I think that the first time that you're, not exactly where they think that you should be at this time, that's going to be an argument. And then
And then you're
that
breaking trust.
Exactly. So it's just like,
Yeah.
I think that it's not something to be like, you know what, this has been going really well. We've been dating for 20 minutes now. And I think that, I'm happy to share with you, what I'm doing all the time. And, if you ask me a question, I'm not going to hide where I am or whatnot. But to feel like you need to know exactly where I am at all times, I think that that would be a problem for me. But you're right. Let's just see how this person reacts to it, because
Yeah.
reaction is the key. And again, mentioning the safety thing, we don't know exactly what's gone on there. Maybe, there's been a situation where that person has experienced violence because of who they are, right? I don't know that. So I don't want to be too presumptuous, but I think that overall, if I'm dating somebody for 3 weeks and they ask for my location nonstop, yeah, it's going to be a hell no.
I love that. Okay, I will say, because I loved what you just said about this. I'm going to say my last sip on this is, if you're going to do any of this, share your location, passwords, any of that.
Yeah.
Make sure it is open and transparent and you're having a conversation. I will say I don't think it builds trust. I think sometimes it actually like does the opposite for us. I also think though, when you set a boundary with your partner, when you say things like you're saying right now, like, hey, that's not something I do. I don't give passwords. I don't give location.
Yeah.
Noticing the reaction in your partner is going to give you so much information about how your relationship is going to move forward. And I think people don't take that into account. Of when you set a boundary, watch what your partner's reaction is, and then see whether or not that's something that you're willing to put up with for the rest of the relationship. I think that's an incredibly important point.
It's great advice. And I guess with me, what would you say to someone who didn't want to have their, all of their passwords and location turned on and all that? Like, is that something that is bad? Like, or is it just something that people have that perception and I'm not alone? Or, maybe more people feel like it should be turned on than not turned on. And again, never talking about safety, but like for me, it's just like, yeah, it's not necessary.
Yeah, I don't think, no, I think honestly, I think we should do a poll, to be honest with you. Let's do a poll
Yeah.
over on our socials, because I think it's an interesting topic of like, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. Like, I think that if you feel like it's an invasion of your privacy, then you don't need to share it. Like, I don't think it makes the relationship stronger or weaker either way. Like, it's not necessary either way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that, I don't know, in terms of my last sip, I feel like I've kind of said a lot of it already, but you're not getting my password, you're not getting my location, and you're not taking my phone. If we're going to be together, if we're going to date, then, or going to be in a relationship, then trust has to be earned and it has to be mutual. And there's no set of rules for me and set of rules for you. We all have to play on the same page. And I'm not going to be snooping at what you do.
I love it. Amazing.
Well, you know what? Don't forget to follow us on socials at the Spill the Tea Pod. Hit subscribe so you know exactly when a new episode is about to drop. Always so much fun. And I guess we'll see you next week. And that's the tea.
That's it for this episode of Spill the Tea. If you loved what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us for more candid conversations. Got a burning question or topic you want us to cover? Slide into our DMs. We're always here to spill the tea. Follow us on socials at the Spill the Tea Pod, at Will Nash on Air, and at Sex Off the Pedestal.